Kath had spearheaded a group of staunch supporters within the Llangors Church congregation, and had started on working through EcoChurch, and I got drawn in because I'm particularly interested in it. So I think the first point I would make is that if you've got a team behind you, it is an awful lot easier to do things. It's much more heartening. So I would suggest trying to get a group working together. I was keen to work with the group for the obvious reasons of making our congregation more aware of the impact that each one of us was having on climate change, on sustainability, etc. So to try and improve our way of thinking and to contribute as a church. And there are lots of things that we had to think about. And I think it's been an absolutely brilliant idea to work through all the different categories and really consider the impact that we're making. So it's been brilliant from that point of view. And we're continuing to do so. Maintaining it is a little bit hard at the moment when we're not meeting in quite the same way. But however, we continue to do that. But what I really wanted to mention in particular is something that perhaps you wouldn't actually be aware of when you first embark on this. And is that the fact that we have linked with the community through doing this EcoChurch award scheme. So we're doing recycling at the back of church. We have got plans for recycling baby clothes and young children's clothes as well. So that's going out into the wider community. We're being advertised for recycling on Facebook page, Llangors Together, and a lot of people know, and I keep answering these sort of Facebook messages, where can I recycle blister packs? Where can I recycle crisp packets, etc. So we're doing that, but what's so really wonderful, I think, is that we're getting the community involved, and that is something that I hadn't anticipated as being as effective. So they're walking past and seeing the plaque, the award, but they're also hearing about it and coming into church. And that is a brilliant start, I think, to getting people inside the door, even if it's not for faith reasons. Small steps. So good luck to all of you. It's really well worth it. I can thoroughly recommend it. And big thanks to you, Kath, for starting it up for Llangors Church.
Thank you, Trina. And just to reiterate everything that she said, and I think an important part of this is to do this not out of some kind of sense of guilt or as a way of taking on yet more things for us to do, but as a way of really reorienting and reconnecting with a better way of understanding our faith, a faith that takes account of creation, is rooted in creation, even while it's looking towards heaven. That this is an opportunity through EcoChurch and the tools it offers to really think differently about what it means to be a Christian community. And that's one of the wonderful opportunities we're being afforded right now with the climate crisis is a way of being recalled to the roots of our faith. Okay, so next we've got two sample churches that have been doing some of the work of EcoChurch, and we've got people from them to share with you about their experience. So the first one is Colbren.
That'll be me then.
All right, John, take it away.
Well, a little bit of background really about me. I was 13 years, I was head verger at Bradford Cathedral. One of the things that Bradford Cathedral was very big on was its eco-credentials. They attained and have maintained an eco-congregation award for cathedrals. And in 2010, I was part of the team that got solar panels onto the roof of the building, despite the English heritage guy saying over my dead body, which we were quite prepared to organise. He moved on, and the new guy was a bit more acceptable. But so I've sort of come out of an environment where eco was quite high on the list of things that we did. When I moved here, tiny church, tiny village, no incumbent, part of a ministry area, and I thought, well, we'll give it a go. So I looked at the Bronze Award forms and thought, even I could do this. And once you start, it's like when I sit out the back here and watch all the wind turbines. It's compulsive viewing, and this form is compulsive. You start to fill it in, and the sections automatically click up when that particular section qualifies for a certain level of award, be it bronze, silver, or gold. And as you're working your way through it, you're desperately trying to think, well, now, what am I doing to get this question? What am I doing to get this question? And it prompts you all the time to think about what you and your church and your congregation are doing. It's, as I said, it's compulsive viewing. The form's easy to fill in. The Bronze Award, to be honest, I can't see a reason why nobody would, why anybody would fail that, why nobody could get that. But as you go through, as I say, the little sections fill themselves up, and I've seen a few of mine go silver. And so people have looked at it and they think, well, can't we do a little bit more just to push some of those others up and push some of But there are one or two sections that probably for our church are going to be difficult, things like investments. We don't have any. And they're part of the question, so I don't quite know how we get around that. But yeah, it's been good. It's focused us. It's focused me. And it's become, as I said, a bit of a compulsion to think, well, yeah, maybe if I, look at electric, I can get a silver one there, I can do this. I mean, today, I've just put in a little bird feeding area. I'm sure there's something on the form that. So yeah, it just gets you to do things, and the nice thing about it is, well, from a small church point of view anyway, who's forever looking at their parish care, it doesn't cost you anything to apply to fill the form in, although there may be some costs needed to fulfill some of the questions. I mean, we changed all our lighting to LED, but for us, it wasn't a problem. I did it at the cathedral, and it was a major undertaking, sort of multiple thousands, to get all the lights changed over. But I would commend it to all of you. For those of you who haven't yet done it, go for it. Yeah, it's well worth it. Makes you feel.
Thank you, John.
Makes you feel good when you stick the award up.
Thank you, John. All right, now we've got another testimonial where I come from. We've got somebody else to testify, and this is from Locher Parish.
Yep.
Yep.
That's me.
All right, take it away, Eileen.
Hello, everybody. It's lovely to speak and listen to you all, and been very impressed so far. And the main message is, yes, Christ is at the beginning of it, Christ is in the middle of it, Christ is leading us on. And I'm from the parish of Castlwcher and Gorsainan. We're just about at our Silver Eco Award. And I agree with everything that's been said so far. The actual process of EcoChurch is fabulous. It's a journey. And we have 5, our little sort of committee in EcoChurch in Leicester, including Jill and Andrew, who are with us tonight. We're a committee of 5, but we also get lots of the congregation when we are doing things. We get sort of volunteers in from the congregation to help us. But on Saturday, the 3rd of July, our 3 Eco team members from the parish were very, very privileged to join in the launch of the Young Christians Climate Network, YCCN, at St Thomas Church in Swansea. We went to support the young people who were on a journey walking from St Thomas in Swansea to Margam. That was about 14 miles, which is one stage of the long walk, which is taking young people, young Christians, on a journey from St Ives in Cornwall up to, eventually, to Glasgow for the COP26 Climate Summit. So obviously we didn't join them all the way for the 14 miles. We did about 3 miles, I think. But it was inspiring to see the young people who are so committed and so dedicated to get their message out there about the effects of climate change. And as the young Christians are on a journey, so are we very much with EcoChurch on a journey. We've all seen, and you listen to the news, every time you put the news on, you hear about droughts, storms, floods, butterflies, bees, insect populations dropping, animals like orangutans becoming extinct because they're losing their forests and the deforestation of the Amazon. We've also heard about Wally the walrus down in Pembrokeshire. He's gone from Pembrokeshire now, he's been over to France, and I think he's in the Scilly Isles at the moment, causing havoc on the boats. And much as we've all been sort of following Wally's journey, he shouldn't be here. It's not normal, it's not as it should be. Wally should be somewhere cooler. And this is just another sign of what's happening around us. So how did we in Leicester get involved in EcoChurch? Well, I think it's true to say that I've always been interested in the environment since a child, always been interested in butterflies and birds and the rest of it. And as I sort of grew up, I noticed more and more litter around the place. And litter making our pretty little village quite scruffy, quite dirty. So we've sort of formed litter pick groups over the time, which is, you know, drawing in the community. So that's what sort of started us on the path. And then Jill came along and mentioned EcoChurch to us in the church. And we sort of thought about it and didn't know much about it, but thought, oh yeah, this is something we can do, you know, do our little bit, we can get involved in this. So we put it to the PCC, and on the information that Jill gave us, we sort of talked about it and decided to have a go. And I do stress at this point as well, it's very important that your PCC backs you and that you keep the PCC informed of what you're doing. And communication with all members of the church is very important. So we do try and let everybody know as we're going on with sort of regular updates of what we're doing. It's been a bit difficult, obviously, for everything over the last 18 months, but we do try and let everybody know what we're doing. When we signed up to EcoChurch, we thought, yes, the bronze stage, oh, we were really pleased because we already had a lot of ticks, lots of scores on the doors when we were doing the bronze. I'm quite excited that you had some points straight away. But the more you looked at the survey and the more you sort of studied the questions, as has already been said, takes you on this journey. And it's like getting on a bus, really. And if you just go into the bus garage and you sort of jump on the first bus that comes along, you don't know where you're going, you don't know where you're going to end up, but it's quite exciting on the way. And this is what we found. We've answered the questions honestly. A lot of them we had to say we don't know. It was quite surprising how much we didn't know about the buildings and things that we had to find out about. We pray regularly. We did very well on the first worship thing, particularly in the bronze, because we've had regular services about the environment. And I think of all the things we do, that's one, the most important, is to get God on our side. He's always on our side, but to pray to him and ask him for help and guidance, and then take it from there. We've discovered, as a smallish church, there's lots of things we can do, small steps. Nothing huge, we haven't done anything sort of ginormous, but small steps. And we found by doing small steps, we've been able to take the congregation with us, lots of them with us. think careless about it. And one of our little team made labels, and we stuck them underneath all the lights in the church, so, you know, just to remind people, switch off, if you don't need it, switch it off. And that's helped. We changed the bulbs to LED bulbs, and as they're breaking down, we sort of using more LEDs. We also switched to a green supplier. Lots of little things you probably do in your own home, but at the end of the day, the church is our home, so we should be doing the same thing there. And a lot of it is actually getting people to think and to change their mindset, to be aware of all the little steps you can take, because all these little steps carry on into a big journey. Much like those young people that inspired me in St. Thomas, you know, our journey is going on, and we should continue on that journey. We've had an awful lot of help from Renew Wales, and Delith will be talking to us, I'm sure, in a couple of minutes about Renew Wales. They really helped us, because when we started off, we didn't really have a focus other than the eco survey itself, but we met with a mentor, Philip MacDonald, and Philip, sorry, something on my computer tonight. I don't know if you can see those pop-ups, I do apologise if pop up again. Philip MacDonald helped us, and we met with him in the centre in Swansea, and he talked us through what do we want to do, and gave us some action points and some dates. So we had some targets to work to, and the action plan that he gave us is fully flexible, so we can sort of change it as we go. But it gave us things to work and things to sort of direct us. And we've stressed all the time how everybody in the congregation can sort of stress reuse, recycle, reduce. It's all the things that we hear on the television every day, but we're homing in on that as much as we can. Some of the things that we mentioned weren't particularly successful. We sort of had a revisit, if you like, to fair trade products, and we were trying to encourage people to go back to fair trade. Some did, some didn't. We bought fair trade tea, which didn't go down very well at all. That wasn't a huge success. You know, some you win, some you lose. One little thing we did was very simple. We made a list of eco tips. Very simple things like don't run the tap, don't leave the water on all the time when you're brushing your teeth, switch the tap off. Wash at 30 degrees and all these little simple tips that we hear of. And we made a list, and then every week, one of these tips is published in the church bulletin every week, and it's at the bottom of the page so people can sort of see it. Amongst the hymns, amongst the prayers, there's this little eco tip just to keep it in focus all the time, keep it there. We asked if the office in the parish used recycled paper, and they didn't. So we saw that there was a reason why they didn't, because it was jamming the photocopier apparently. But since I don't know what the problem was, but they're now using recycled paper, which we're delighted about. We're encouraging people, simple things, print if you have to print double-sided. All of it adding together. Actually today we've had really good news, because Reverend Adrian Morgan, Gosignan, has had a successful lottery grant. I think it was £10,000 to purchase a projector screen. So we're now going to have all this high-tech stuff over the altar. So we'll be able to save so much more paper from now on, and it'll all help with our EcoChurch efforts. One of the major things we did as well, which the congregation like, I hope, is the grounds. The grounds of St. David's Church was just a plain lawned area. Nothing there at all except grass. It was all very neat, very tidy, but very plain. And again, with the help of Renew Wales, we had a gentleman come along and sort of make suggestions to us about how we can make it more eco-friendly. We had a little grant from Keep Wales Tidy, and with the advice given to us from Renew Wales, we've put in a wildflower patch, we've installed bird feeders, we've planted soft fruit bushes, fruit trees, we've got a little herb garden there. It's not huge, but it's you know, it's a start. We've got a compost barrel, a water butt. It's sort of a project in process is growing, and Jill and I did actually sample a few of the gooseberries a couple of weeks ago, but they were it was a bit too soon, we were a bit too keen. They weren't ripe, they were quite bitter actually, but we sampled them. Another project we do again that we were put in touch with from Renew Wales is terrace cycling, and again, as somebody's mentioned, we collect crisp packets, biscuit wrappers, bread wrappers, and that's involved all the church members, because the ones who can't maybe the older ones who can't actually get out and help us dig, they're quite happy to collect all their recycling and bring it in to us, and then we send it off to TerraCycle, and we actually get paid. We haven't had a huge amount of money, but I think we've had a bit of over £100, possibly £150 by now. But when you see the amount of crisp packets that have gone actually to TerraCycle and not gone into landfill, and it makes us proud, because it's a huge amount to save from landfill. If everybody did that, it would be wonderful. We've also been sponsored by Renew Wales, and Jill and I did a carbon literacy course, which was extremely interesting, an eye-opener. Homed into us again about how records are constantly being broken, the ones we don't really want to be broken, such as 2016 was the hottest year on record. Time is short. We've got to take drastic action. We've got to take action now, not in the future, to turn things around. As a group as well, we've homed in on online petitions, and I don't know how many of you have signed up to things like the Greenpeace, and there's lots of organisations who send out online petitions, and I'm signing some most days, and they petition about stopping supermarkets from using suppliers who use palm oil. They've asked the big banks to ditch fossil fuel financing. They've drawn attention to European food safety, saying that glyphosate is not safe, and some people are trying to say it is. It's not. It's a poison. It only takes a minute or two to sign the petitions, but that again is something that, as long as your members have got computers, you can sort of send a petition around, and if they agree to it, you don't force anybody, but if they agree to that, then sign it, because numbers count, and these petitions are getting seen by members of parliament. We get in touch with our members of parliament. We've been in touch with our local councils as well to ask them to sign up to climate change, which they have done, to the climate emergency. So although we're a small group, and because we're now a recognised little eco group, it's given us a little bit more strength than the individual, because we can sort of say we are, Parish of Loughran Gorsaining eco groups. It's given us that little bit of credibility, if you like. All of them small steps that we've taken, all of them will help the environment. All of us want to help the environment, God's earth, and by joining EcoChurch, we are beginning to fight back. And as we said earlier, we are the stewards of God's earth. We should be the stewards of God's earth. We mustn't get too down about it, because as has been said, we've got to have hope. And I mean, we are having some good news, because this week, I was delighted to hear on the news that the giant pandas, for example, in China, they're no longer on the red endangered list because of the successful breeding program. So human beings can put right some of the things that we made wrong in the past. We can. It's a wonderful program. They've succeeded in the panda breeding, and that's the sort of thing that can be done.
So, all right, thank you, Eileen. That's been wonderful. Thank you for that, and that's really given us a good, strong overview of what the many things y'all are doing there. That should be encouraging to everyone.